Hello, dear friends. Never underestimate the power of the Force. As it was said in Star Wars, when you are not in divine time, you cannot force it. When you are in divine time, you can't stop it. Opinion piece. The power of heaven. It will be unstoppable when it acts. It is beyond comprehension. The universe is born of thought. The spark of life is eternal in us. Towards the pure land of serene white light. The pure land of Amitabha would be the new earth. It is called Sukhāvatī in Sanskrit or Dewachen in Tibetan. Angels will descend to earth and awaken the sleeping ones. The Buddhas will return to our world to liberate mankind. It will be the paradise of supreme happiness according to the Sutra of Infinite Life. The Sutra of Infinite Life. To benefit all sentient beings is the supreme goal of the cosmic law. Let's start. The power of heaven is beyond comprehension and has not yet come into direct action in all areas. Have no doubt that they will act, and once that happens, the upper chamber vermin will be dragged into the sunlight by their former puppets and the outraged populace. In some places they will storm castles like in the Count Dracula movies, according to Morgan Aker, the poet dog. The minions of evil are everywhere, not just in leadership positions. All beings of light are under constant attack. We are in the midst of a spiritual war. Those of the light really need to call upon their spirit guides, ancestors, angels, and Archangel Michael for protection. Stay in the attitude of gratitude regardless. Angels will descend to earth and awaken the sleeping ones who have been trapped by the dark side of the Force. As the awakening intensifies and panic spreads, these heavenly forces will act upon the hearts and minds of those who have been serving the dark side. It will not take much to defeat them all. Many of them will be finished by the light of the sun as soon as it hits them, metaphysically speaking. Many will be overruled by their bodyguards and helpers. When those who are left see what is happening, many will take their own lives because they cannot accept the truth. Materialism. Many of them are materialists, and this includes most intellectuals and religious scholars. Most people believe only what they see, and find ridiculous the idea that heaven could have standing armies, and that vast invisible realms could exist on earth at this time. Even modern physics has shown mathematically that everything manifest is born of thought, but they still do not believe because they are stupid and do not realize that belief creates existence, or else they foster negative beliefs to create negative existences. The universe and everything in it was born of thought. Our thought was bestowed upon us by the original thinker. Each of us are thoughts in his head and in our head. There are thoughts that come and go, and we are the thought of deity of the particles of our own temporal being. When that which composes us does not get along with itself, disease appears. Wake the hell up, because there is an eternal silent inner witness that effortlessly controls all our particles, thoughts and feelings if we allow it. That inner witness is not silent either, always. It can and does speak. It is speaking all the time through the angels and elementals that build the worlds that our thoughts visualize, and most especially build the worlds that the original thinker visualizes. There is an invisible army of workers of the Dewachen realm who manage to process as envisioned in the divine mind, as processed through the specific angel who administers it. Consider some of the massive government agencies that exist. Some of them have satellite offices all over the world. Now imagine that there is an agency larger than all of these put together, which is invisible, and is much like the earthly one, except that it is uncorrupted and efficient and transparent. The king of the world. According to various traditions, there is this entity called Sanat Kumara. He is the ruler of the earth and the king of the world. He is said to be one of the sons of Brahma, who lives in Shambhala. He is said to be one who plans the strategies of events and planetary evolution, as they occurred here. However, his plans are so far-reaching that they often make little sense here and now. We simply do not have the long-range vision necessary to fully understand him, so we often have to proceed on faith. The ruling and working forces of the great celestial hierarchy have been operating since time immemorial and will be at work in times unimaginable yet. We are a small and fragmentary piece in a vast interlocking mechanism, which we either resist or are in harmony with, and whatever it is, it determines how we fare and how we will fare in times to come. But we have free will to decide our future. The spark of life. The spark of life in us is eternal, in the same way as matter, and energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it is transformed and changes its form, the mode of expression. The universe is born of thought. How is it that so many people can be blind to this? This is a mysterious force by which the Creator causes both evil and good to persist in their ways for the purpose of demonstration. When it is said that certain events and conditions will happen, it's not prophecy. It's simply accurate observation through a legitimate lens. Anyone could do this if trained. Ask for what you want and you will get it at some point, usually when you no longer want it. There are certain laws and restrictions in place where you cannot inflict harm on another person who is under specific protection. The harm desired falls of the person who desires it. Everyone gets what they want here, in a sense, along with a lot of things they don't want. Realize much of the outrageous and inexplicable in people's situation and behavior. Be careful what you wish for. The kingdom of heaven. There is, in one thing, I recommend as a very good idea to wish for, that the kingdom of heaven be brought to us. Thy kingdom come. You can't go wrong with that. Whoever aspires to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth will be empowered to do so. At some point they will be empowered to take it with them wherever they are, and radiate it from their being to the extent that they have earned the right to do so. You are not alone in your efforts. There are others who aspire to similar states. The work and transformation necessary to do what they do can take many millions of years. Who has that kind of time? You do. First, you must have the great love awakened in your heart, and then it's simply going through the motions. Look at all those shining stars. Find God and everything else will fall into place. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all else will be added unto you. That's prophecy, and you are guaranteed to the outcome if you persist with faith, certainty, and determination. Living without worry. I am not worried that the material organization for Christianity is corrupted. It certainly is. I am not worried about the manipulated fabrication of the Jesus Christ character. I am not concerned about the lack of historical evidence that he was here at the time attributed to him. I know that he is real in the same way that the sun is in the sky. I know that the spiritual existence of Jesus Christ is a fact. His impact on history and so many people who have changed the world stands as compelling evidence. All this didn't happen as a result of a mirage. Meanwhile, the avatars are a fact. It is no exaggeration to say that Jesus Christ is one of them. I never worry about the details because I am never in possession of all the details. The details are God's consent. My consent is to leave the details in God's hands. Yes, there is a celestial hierarchy properly understood, not like the pyramidal concept of earthly hierarchy that is misunderstood. Yes, they are going to intrude directly into material life at some point, to the astonishment and dismay of many. Let us look and see. The pure earth. Some of us are engaged beyond ordinary human comprehension. Read about the life and inspiration of Amitabha Buddha from the pure land of serene light, from the Sukhāvatī paradise, the land of supreme bliss, as explained in the White Lotus Sutra. It is said that all the bodhisattvas on their path to Buddhahood have the ability to choose the conditions of pure land they want to create to benefit sentient beings through their aspiration. For example, Sakyamuni Buddha accepted this impure world on ours as his pure land instead of creating one. Similarly, Amitabha Buddha developed a pure land called Dewachen, or the world of bliss known as Sukhāvatī in Sanskrit. Amitabha is the most important Buddha of the Pure Land school, which is mainly practiced in East Asia. According to the writings, Amitabha possesses infinite merit as a result of his good deeds in countless past lives, as a bodhisattva called Dharmakara. More directly, the term Amitabha Buddha translates simply as fully conscious infinite light. He is the Buddha representing the supreme mind of all Buddhas. When Amitabha Buddha was a bodhisattva, he made a prayer that, in quotes, "When I become a Buddha, I may develop a pure land called Amitabha Pure Land, where even ordinary beings with impurities may be born because of my practice performed for aeons and aeons, provided they have the thought of being born in the Pure Land and develop a connection with me with devotion and belief, where the three lower realms of hell, hungry ghosts and animals, do not exist, where all can live for aeons and aeons, where there is no hunger, where there is no famine, where beings are miraculously born from the lotus, and I will guide them on the path of enlightenment without their having to return to samsara." According to the Infinite Life Sutra, Amitabha was in very ancient times a monk named Dharmakara, a former king who renounced his throne, having come into contact with the Buddhist teaching thanks to Lokesvararya Buddha. He then decided to become a Buddha and thus come to take possession of the Buddha Kshetra, a world existing in a primordial universe outside time and space, produced by the merit of Buddha, of many perfections. Dharmakara's 18th vow that any being in any universe who wished to be born in the pure land of Amitabha and called his name just 10 times would be guaranteed birth there. This 19th vow promised that he, along with his bodhisattvas and other blessed Buddhists, would appear before those who called his name at the time of death. The sutra also explained that Amitabha, having accumulated a great merit through countless lives, finally attained the Buddhahood and even now lives in his pure land of Sukhāvatī, whose many virtues are described. Through his efforts, Amitabha created a pure land called Sukhāvatī in Sanskrit, whose meaning is having happiness. Sukhāvatī is located in the far west beyond the borders of our world. With the power of his vows, Amitabha made it possible for anyone who called upon him to reborn in his land, there to receive his Dhamma instruction and eventually come a bodhisattva and in turn a Buddha. Then these same bodhisattvas and Buddhas would return to our world to in turn help more people. This kingdom is called Sukhāvatī in Sanskrit or Dewachen in Tibetan. Like Sakyamuni Buddha, Amitabha had two main disciples, the bodhisattvas Vajrapāṇi and Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of infinite compassion. The Hindu form of Amitabha's mantra is Om Amitabha Hri, which is pronounced in its Tibetan version as Om Amidewa Hri. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.